You're listening to IBNX. IBNXradio.com.
What's up, Atlanta? It's your boy Alex, aka Excessive Overlord, and you're listening to NxNews on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105 here on the IBNX Radio Network. We're going to get you started with some global news right at the top of the hour here, so let's get right into it. Russian President Vladimir Putin has stated that he did not see anything criminal with Hunter Biden's previous ties with Russia or Ukraine. Now, Putin, who previously praised Trump for wanting better ties with Moscow, has now said that Russia will work with whoever the U.S. leader is, despite Joe Biden's, quote, sharp anti-Russian rhetoric. Now, this is pretty interesting considering all of the events that have led up to this, seeing Twitter and Facebook banning the news story that was released with some alleged fake, maybe not fake news regarding this story. But it's interesting to see Russia's perspective, specifically Vladimir Putin's perspective when it comes to this story. Now, we're going to keep it right on moving along. Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, and the U.S. announced a new ceasefire agreement in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. And now this is the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia that was taking place in the region. The ceasefire would have taken effect today, and it was hoped to bring an end to the conflict, but Pompeo actually met with the two foreign ministers from both parties on Fridays. They came to the ceasefire, but fighting has actually started again in the region as of today. The U.S.-backed ceasefire has failed, and fighting resumed. So just as it did with the two Russian ceasefires that I reported on last week, this region is still in conflict. The ceasefires do not seem to be working, and any outside brokering of these ceasefires does not seem to be working either. It seems like these two parties need to come together themselves without outside pressures and come to a conclusion within themselves, because all of the ceasefires, this is now the third ceasefire that has failed in total. Moving right along, Sudan has actually announced that they are looking forward to come to agreements with Israel on trade and migration issues. Now, this was another deal brokered by the U.S., and it has made Sudan the third Arab government to foster a relationship with Israel in the past 2 months. They're second to the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. However, some Sudanese officials have rejected the accord, saying that they want a full parliamentary vote on it instead of just coming to an agreement. Now, Israel has agreed to send $5 million worth of wheat to Sudan in terms of this trade membership. And Sudan has actually already received 67,000 tons of wheat and aid from the United Arab Emirates. Moving right along, some COVID updates in the world. So Australia has been handling COVID kind of differently from other developed countries, and Victoria, one of their largest states, has been Australia's COVID hotspot. But they have actually now just reported 0 cases of new infections for the first time since June. This is some big news. They had some fresh outbreaks in Melbourne's suburbs recently, and it's kind of delayed the easing of the restrictions that they had scheduled for when they were scheduled for. But the residents of Melbourne have been placed in a hard lockdown since July to contain the spread of the virus. But like I said, there were some new outbreaks in the suburb areas, so the lockdown has kind of maintained for a little bit more than expected. But it seems to have helped stem the tide against the infection. Australia as a whole has just recorded around 27,500 total COVID infections, which is far less than a lot of other similarly developed countries. And that could be because of their hard lockdown that they imposed in July. So yeah, that's about all the global news I have. But let's go back to that Nagorno-Karabakh conflict real quick. So yeah, like I said, Russia has actually helped them broker two ceasefires that did not work. And now that we have brokered one as well that still has not worked. It just reminds me of one of the articles I reported last week of Vladimir Putin kind of saying that the U.S. and Russia kind of need to take a step back and stop trying to control everything that's happening in the world as the two leading powers, basically. And he also stated that Germany is well up in that race, too, as one of the world's superpowers in terms of their political and financial successes. But as the world's hegemon, it's kind of a big blow because we've seen Russia fail twice now, and the world has seen Russia fail twice to broker a successful ceasefire in the region. So hopes were high that the U.S. could get a successful one done. And they actually met in D.C. on Wednesday, I believe. Well, they arrived in D.C. on Wednesday, and Mike Pompeo, the U.S. Secretary of State, actually met with them on Friday, the foreign ministers from both countries. And because now it didn't work, so it was supposed to go in effect today, and today there's already fighting. So it's a very sticky situation that we're in now, because now what Vladimir Putin has said, where Russia and the U.S. need to take a step back, is kind of becoming reality. We looked at Russia as not being able to handle these ceasefires accordingly, but now we haven't handled the ceasefires accordingly, and they've been broken on our terms as well now. So it's kind of just an interesting thing, maybe a little bit foreshadowing from the Russian president. Maybe he knew that, hey, I couldn't get the deals done, and we thought we had them done, and there was still fighting in the area. So maybe it's time for us and the U.S., because he knew that we would get involved if this did not work, to take a step back and let these two parties figure out their own issues, basically. But that's all the global news I have for you right here on Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. We'll be right back for you after this break with some local news.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Jada.
It's your boy, Chris No Tucker.
And it's your girl, Jaleesa.
Here to tell you about our brand new show,
Next Now.
And we'll be bringing you the afternoon tea,
letting you know what's happening around the way,
and giving you the latest hits.
So join us weekdays 12 to 2 p.m. on ATL's Next 100. Our community,
our station.
Next 100.
A lot of people say it don't matter, but think about it.
The 2020 election is approaching.
This is your country and your future, so vote.
Let your voice be heard.
My faith and confidence in the American future is undiminished.
It's Kendrick Lamar, dig that. I'm going to tell you like this. When you vote, please make sure you know what you're voting for and who you're voting for and why you're voting for them. Do it.
This is an important election, and I'm concerned about America.
ATL's Next 100.
And welcome back to Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. It's your boy Alex, and we're going to get started right off the bat with some local news. Joe Biden is actually traveling to Warm Springs, Georgia on Tuesday as a late attempt to flip the state, which has, for the past few elections at least, voted very Republican. And this is following Kamala Harris's visit to Atlanta, where she actually spoke at Morehouse. It was a rally cry for the most part. And hopefully, for the Biden campaign, the talk goes well. I know that it's pretty late to come, especially whereas, election day is on Tuesday, November 3rd. But they're hoping that this late push will be enough to flip the state. In some other news, Atlanta rapper Silento was arrested on Friday morning after reportedly reaching 143 miles per hour on I-85 in DeKalb County. That's pretty fast. Maybe the fastest I've gone is 130, but 143 seems like a lot. But his legal name is Richard Lamar Hawk, and he's known for his single Watch Me Whip, Nay Nay. Everyone knows that classic, Take Me Back. But he was pulled over around 3 a.m., and the officer wrote in the report that, quote, the driver stated that he was coming from Gwinnett and that people were following him and that he left from the club. Now, Hawk later told the officer that he was speeding because he gets followed wherever he goes, which the officer actually wrote down in the report. And he was taken to the DeKalb County Jail, where he was released on bond later that afternoon. Now, this is pretty interesting because, he is famous, so maybe he was being followed. We don't actually know. There's probably no way we would know. But it's also, you know, you got to pick and choose when you're going to speed. You can't be going 143 miles on I-85 at 3 a.m. when no one else is on the road. Someone's going to find you. Someone's going to hit you with a laser, and you're going to get a ticket and go to jail. So, you know, only speed when you're passing people in the left lane or something like that. In other news, a student was actually injured after being shot at Clayton State University this past Saturday. The shooting took place on campus, and it was around 10:34 a.m. near Laker Hall. The student was rushed to a local hospital, and they seemed to be recovering. And local law enforcement stated that there was no continuous threat on the campus after the shooting, kind of like it was like a one-and-done shooting type thing. It wasn't like an active shooter situation. And reports claim that the suspects were visiting the university when they were fired upon the victim, and they fled the campus in a vehicle, but authorities are still investigating the incident. So if you have any details regarding that incident, you're asked to contact your local officials. Moving right along, Atlanta PD are actually currently investigating a group of car break-ins near the Beltline. It was in a parking garage near the Beltline. If you don't know, the Beltline is like that long track that goes around. It starts like, well, there's like an entranceway by like Ponce City Market, and it's just like a loop around the city. It's very popular. People use it a lot for exercise, and it kind of, not to sound like bad or anything, but it kind of makes sense that there were break-ins here because this is a very high traffic area, and there's a lot of parked cars near the area, and it's something where people are going to leave, you know, if you just came from classes at college, you're going to leave your backpack. You're not going to carry your backpack while you go exercise. You're going to leave it in your car, and, you know, someone's going to break into your car, and hopefully they get a MacBook out of it. But they're suspecting that actually one person did these break-ins in the parking garage, and it was reported that at least 4 cars were broken into and damaged, and several items were taken. They actually interviewed one of the victims of the break-ins, and they said a MacBook Pro with a sticker that says Game Changer was taken, and it belongs to their family. They actually run a family business called Moki Pops, and they sell all natural vegan popsicles out of their car. Basically, they set up shop a lot near the Beltline, which is a great business plan. You know, people are exercising, why not stop and get a nice vegan popsicle? But they said they've never had an incident like this occur. They haven't felt threatened or even felt like there was going to be a break-in. And they've actually set up a GoFundMe page to replace their stolen goods. So if you feel so inclined, you could search up Moki Pop Smash and Grab computer replacement on GoFundMe, and you'll be linked to their page. They've already raised some money to help replace their MacBook Pro with a lot of their business documents were on there as well. So they lost a lot of business information because of this break-in. But authorities say that of all the 4 cars that were broken into, they think that bags were taken, like backpacks were taken. So again, if you're going to park anywhere in Atlanta or even just any public area, if you have a backpack, just go ahead and put it in your trunk. It takes like 5 minutes, and if you don't have, like, unless you're driving like a hatchback or SUV where you can see in the trunk, it's gonna probably protect your things. Your car probably won't be broken into. It's a lot easier to smash a window and take your backpack once someone sees it than to like break into your trunk, not knowing even if there's a backpack in there. So just be careful when you're going out to public events and parking in downtown Atlanta. Don't leave any valuables where people can see them. Moving right along, the Black American Music Association, or BAM, and the Georgia Entertainment Caucus have unveiled the new Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame in Atlanta. The Walk of Fame will be on the sidewalks of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Northside Drive. And additionally, they've hired sculptor and historian Ed Dwight D.L. Warfield to create the official emblem for the walk. Now, they're saying that work on the walk is going to begin in late December, should the weather allow it. And the inaugural celebration is scheduled for January 2021, should all things go according to plan and they finish the walk in time. I think this is great. It's just another attracting for Atlanta, to bring people to Atlanta. And, you know, it's the perfect place for it. Martin Luther King Jr. Drive and Northside Drive. It's going to be great. I can't wait to visit it once they're done. And I can't also wait to see the official emblem that Ed Dwight D.L. Warfield comes up with. Moving right along, on Sunday night, this is actually a very tragic story. A man was shot by a gunman while he was driving his car on I-20 eastbound, and so he was shot while driving his car. So he stopped his car in the middle lane because he was hurt, and the middle lane of the interstate. He was still on the interstate, and his vehicle was actually hit by another car, which was driven by a woman who exited her car after the crash and was actually struck by a tractor trailer, which killed her instantly. And then the man who was shot was rushed to the hospital, and he died in care. So the gunman basically killed two people. And so at this time, officials have not identified either of the victims or any suspects involved in the shootings, but you're asked if you know any more details about it, if you suspect anyone or know either of the two victims involved, to please contact your local officials. And finally, the Atlanta City Council are currently discussing methods to try to stop street racing in the city. It's a big issue, and a lot of people take complaint with it. Why aren't they being held to the same street standards that a lot of other people are being held to? But one of the proposed changes would require anyone who's arrested for street racing to appear before a judge before being released from jail, whereas right now they can just simply get a bond and be released from jail once they pay it. Essentially, it just creates like another step or like layer of accountability for street racers. So hopefully that would deter them from it. But again, I mean, if you're going to street race, you could just, and like, if you're going to street race, you're going to street race. You're not thinking about like, oh, well now, you know, like a week ago, I could just get bond, but now I have to appear before a judge. I don't think it's going to really stop anyone from street racing. I mean, there's different ways to do it, but I don't think that making them see a judge after they get caught is going to make them stop street racing. But that's all the local news I have for you today. We'll be right back here with Next News on Atlanta's Next 100 and Next 105 with traffic and weather.
Next 100.
A lot of people say it don't matter, but think about
The
it.
2020 election is approaching.
This is your country and your future. So vote.
Let your voice be heard.
My faith and confidence in the American future is undiminished.
Hey, what's happening, homeboy? This TIP, man, the king. Letting y'all know, man, y'all need to get out there and vote. You understand that? I couldn't say to you more how important it is simply because all of the things that affect our lives and our society today, it all comes down to a vote. You know what I'm saying? It's a democracy. Democracy means the majority wins. So whatever it is that's important to you, you need to figure out which candidate holds those policies close to his heart, just like you hold them close to yours, and who is looking to move the country in the direction you feel it need to go in.
This is an important election, and I'm concerned about America.
ATL's Next 100.
And welcome back to Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. It's your boy Alex, and we're going to get you started with some traffic updates. Johnny, you know, every time I do traffic, I say the same thing. We live in Atlanta. You know the traffic here is terrible. Please plan ahead when you're driving home from work or wherever you're headed. You know how bad the traffic is going to be. You don't need me to tell you this. But actually today isn't as bad as it normally is, especially for a Monday. Maybe it's because it's so, overcast. People aren't really going out other than going to and from work. But you can expect some delays as usual being in Atlanta. So you can expect delays on 85 as it connects with 75 all the time. This is every day. Like that intersection is always horrible. You could also expect some delays on 285. And actually the northwest perimeter of 285, where speeds are being reported as low as 9 and 8 miles per hour. And also on 78 west near Oakdale Road, where speeds are also being reported as low as 8 miles an hour. But that's pretty much it here looking at the map. 75 connecting to 85 is bad, or 85 connecting to 75 is bad, but not so much red as we're used to, just those two other areas that I mentioned. We're going to go right into weather now. So it's currently a nice cloudy 66 degree day. As the sun sets around 6:50 p.m., you can expect temperatures to drop, but not too much. They're going to stay at 60 degrees for the most part, so it shouldn't be getting too cold tonight. Tomorrow should be the same, like overcast, cloudy type of day, but with a high of 75 and a low of 63 instead. So, get out today and tomorrow, because on Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to rain. On Wednesday, there's an 80% chance of rain, and on Thursday, there's a 90% of chance of rain, so it's going to rain those 2 days. So get out today, get some nice exercise in, get some fresh air, because you're not going to be able to do it later in the week. But the weekend should clear up. On Friday and Saturday, it should be sunny with highs in the low 60s, so it's going to be nice, cool fall weather. Sunny, maybe crunching on some fall leaves that have fallen down, because it'll be dried up by then. But yeah, just get out today and tomorrow to get your exercise in, because you won't be able to do it on Wednesday and Thursday. We're going to move right into sports now. So we have some high school football recaps of the games that I previewed last week. The Roswell Hornets downed the Cherokee Warriors 35-28 to remain undefeated as they move to 6-0, and the Cherokee Warriors actually dropped to 6-1 because of that. The East Coweta Indians bullied the Pebblebrook Falcons. Let's be real, the Falcons isn't a good name anymore. We'll get more into that later as well. They beat them 39-14 as they moved to 6-1 and dropped the Falcons to 5-2. And then we had those big Forsyth rivalry games this weekend. So West Forsyth Wolverines handed the South Forsyth War Eagles their first loss with a 41-34 win. So the Wolverines are now 3-3, and the War Eagles have dropped to 4-1. And the Forsyth Central Bulldogs get the narrow upset against the North Forsyth Raiders with a 28-27 W. So the Bulldogs are now 3-2, and the Raiders are now 5-2. So both of the Forsyth games were upsets. So those are some big rivalry games, and they played their hearts out, and they got the win. So we're going to move right on to college football. There were some big Georgia games this week. Well, not big, like UGA didn't play, but there were some Georgia games this weekend. So Boston College easily defeated the Georgia Tech Hornets 48-27. So Georgia Tech is now 2-4, and Boston College is now 4-2. Georgia Tech hasn't been, feeling it lately. They had that huge 70-3 or whatever it was loss against Clemson, and now Boston College pretty much destroyed them this last game. And Georgia State actually got the victory over Troy, 36-34. So Georgia State is now 2-2, and Troy is now 3-2. There were also some big, just regular college football games of the weekend. So our engineer Logan wanted us to point out the Wisconsin-Illinois game, where Wisconsin actually wiped the floor with Illinois 45-7. So I know Logan's at home real happy right now. And as I predicted on Friday, Oklahoma State beat Iowa State. They won 24-21. So Oklahoma State is now 4-0, and Iowa State has dropped to 2-3. Unlike I predicted this past week, SMU had no chance to win against Cincinnati. I thought they did, but they actually lost 13-42. So Cincinnati is now 4-0, and SMU has dropped to 5-1. We're going to move on to the NFL real quick. There's been a big signing that everyone's been talking about. Antonio Brown has gone to the Bucs. It's confirmed. Tom Brady, that is, has been playing pretty good lately, and this only helps his MVP push. A lot of his receiving core right now is injured. They're dealing with injuries. They're not on the injury reserve. But bringing Antonio Brown to the offense is going to make it easier for them to get healthy, but also for them to get open. You have to put a lot of eyes on Antonio Brown, regardless of his off-the-field issues we all know about. If he's anything what he was when he signed with the Patriots last year, he's going to help the Bucs a lot. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And there's actually been a couple injuries this weekend that were pretty scary. OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., suffered a nasty knee injury after trying to make a tackle after Baker Mayfield's first pass was a pick. So he underwent MRI this morning, and he's reported that he suffered a torn ACL. So he's going to need surgery, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. Feeling pretty bad for Odell Beckham. There were reports that he might be traded. I don't think that was actually going to happen. The Browns are sitting pretty nice right now. But, he had a big game with Baker a couple of games ago. So it's just sad to see that, he finally has a big game, and now he's hurt. And Andy Dalton for the Cowboys actually had a scary helmet-to-helmet impact with Washington linebacker John Bostic. It came late. Andy Dalton was actually sliding down when Bostic just tackled him, hit him helmet to helmet. Andy Dalton's helmet flew off, and he was down for a while. So he actually entered the concussion protocol, and Bostic was ejected for the game for the late hit. Now, so for some recaps, guess what? The Falcons lost again, which is why don't ever name your team the Falcons. They had a 98% probability chance to win this game, and they blew it. So this is actually now the third game this season where they've had 98% chance to win and have lost. This comes as Matthew Stafford threw the game-winning touchdown to win 23-22. The Falcons are now 1-6, and there are trade rumors everywhere surrounding specifically Matty Ice and, Julio Jones. If anyone was going to go, as much as it pains me to say this, we should trade Julio Jones. We're wasting his career. We're wasting his prime right now. And, that man deserves to be on a team that's competing for something again, not the 1-6 Falcons. And the Lions have moved to 3-3, so they even up their season right now. The Steelers actually dropped the Titans, so I was wrong again. I thought the Titans had a chance. They did have a chance, but actually Gostkowski missed the game-tying field goal. So, like I said, the Steelers won 27-24. This was a battle of the undefeated teams, so the Steelers have remained undefeated at 6-0, and the Titans have actually dropped to 5-1, but they had every Steeler fan scared during the game. So Titans are definitely a force to be reckoned with and will probably make a deep playoff push. That was a great game to watch. The Cardinals actually handed the Seahawks their first loss of the season as well with a 37-34 victory in overtime. Russell Wilson threw for 388 yards, 3 touchdowns, but actually threw 3 interceptions as well. It was a bad game for him. He threw a pick in overtime to set up the Cardinals' game-winning field goal, and so now the Seahawks have dropped down to 5-1, and the Cardinals have moved to 5-2. Cardinals have been a big surprise team this year, Kyler Murray played his mind out against Russell Wilson, and that was a great game to watch. Tonight, we have the 5-1 Bears at the 4-2 Rams at 8:15 on ESPN. The 5-1 Bears are a facade, especially with Nick Foles. They're not going anywhere. Please, let's let the Rams win. The Rams should win this game. If the Rams lose this game, something's up. Maybe the Bears are going to the Super Bowl because Nick Foles has discovered something. He hasn't even been playing good, but they keep winning. So, maybe Nick Foles is just that lucky. Moving over to baseball, on Saturday, the Rays evened the World Series again at 2-2 after evening it at 1-1 with an 8-7 victory over the Dodgers. So we still got a series. They scored the game-winning run after a plethora of miscues by the Dodgers. But last night, the Dodgers retook the World Series lead with a 4-2 win over the Rays, so they now lead the series 3-2. Clayton Kershaw now actually holds the record for most postseason career strikeouts as well, so they might be able to close it out tonight. Game 6 is tonight, or is actually tomorrow at 8:08 p.m. on Fox. But that's all the sports news I have for you. We'll be right back here on NxNews on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. We'll be back right here with health.
Next 100.
A lot of people say it don't matter, but think about it.
The 2020 election is approaching.
This is your country and your future, so vote.
Let your voice be heard.
My faith and confidence in the American future is undiminished.
What's up, man? This is Big Sean. I just want to let y'all know, man, I feel like without voting, we just not using ourselves to the full potential, man. I just feel like if you got the ability to control what's around you, your circumstances, we need to make sure we exercise that right, man. People died for this.
This is an important election, and I'm concerned about America.
ATL's Next 100.
What's poppin', family? It's your homegirl, Taryn Simone.
Latoria G.
And Miss Caprice.
We're here to tell you about our hot new show, Next Now, Weekend Edition.
With segments like Giving You the Business and Whoop Child. Tune in every Saturday and Sundays, 10 to 12 on Atlanta's Next 100.
Right here on IBNX Radio Network.
Our community, our station.
And welcome back to Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. It's your boy Alex, and we're going to get right started with some health news. So, as we prepare for the second wave of COVID infections, doctors are actually expecting another spike in mental health issues as well. The pandemic has caused all kinds of extra stress for every generation, on top of the already added anxieties about the election and its results as well, and other things that people are dealing with. You know, a lot of people have been going through job losses and career losses at the same token. And it's affecting everyone differently, but it's affecting everyone kind of the same. So like the future is pretty uncertain right now. So younger generations are really having a hard time dealing with that, like millennials and Gen X and Gen Z and all that. They're having a hard time seeing, you know, what their future is going to be, or like planning for the future. Like what do we plan for that? How long is this pandemic going to last? How long are the effects that it's had, like everything moving to remote, like a lot of jobs moving to remote? How is that going to continue? Are we going back in person eventually? Are we not? There's a lot of questions up in the air, so younger generations are kind of struggling with that. Whereas older generations are worrying about kind of the same issues, like regarding their future, but more so in like retirement. How am I going to be able to retire? And also, once you keep getting up in the older generations, the real health risks that the infections cause, it's just stressing a lot of people out. It's a lot of added anxiety that we kind of just don't need. Let's be real, we don't need any of this, but it's happening nonetheless. So doctors are just saying, you know, keep an eye on your mental health, do the things that you need to do to keep your mental health under control, as well as staying healthy to help fight against the virus should you come in contact with it. And I would say a lot of the things that you could do to benefit your mental health also benefit your immune system. The healthier you are mentally, the better your immune system is going to be as well. So just keep some of these things in mind. Reach out to others. Don't ever be scared to reach out to others if you need to, not just for help or anything like that, just to talk to other people. Maybe you haven't talked to your friends in a while. The social isolation is hitting a lot of us very hard as well. So just, you know, if there's a friend that you've been thinking of, send them a message, just see how they're doing. It's always great to talk to people. Engage in the hobbies that build positive energy for you. Basically, just do whatever makes you happy. If you're having a bad day and you just want to sit home and play video games because that makes you feel happy, do that. If you're having a bad day and you just want to go outside and shoot some baskets, do that. Do whatever is going to help you feel better about yourself. Make art, paint, do a coloring book, do a puzzle, watch your favorite show on Netflix. Just do things that keep your mind off of all of the stress and anxiety you have. It's going to make you feel better. And at the end of the day, if you're doing a hobby like painting, making music, making movies, whatever you want to do, if you're doing a creative hobby like that, at the end of the day, you're also going to have something to look forward to. You know, okay, well, I started making this song, so now tomorrow I have that to look forward to. Maybe I could keep working on it instead of always just worrying about things. Eat healthy. That's always a big one as well. Get your fruits and vegetables in. They're going to help you feel better about yourself, and they're going to help stimulate your mind. You know, good food is a hobby. I love eating. Who doesn't like eating? So if you eat more, you're eating healthy things, you're going to feel better. And along with that, get fresh air and get some exercise. Like I said, today and tomorrow, it's going to be perfect because Wednesday and Thursday is going to rain. So just get outside, get some exercise, go on a walk. Go bird watching. Just do something where you're getting fresh air and getting exercise at the same time. Doctors also recommend to keep a journal, like write down anything you're struggling with, write down any ideas you have, things like that. And like I said in the beginning, reach out to others, but like if you need help, ask for help. Don't be scared to ask for help. And if someone asks you for help, try your best. Don't ever lie. Like if you don't have the answers, tell them that. I think that helps a lot, and help them get to someone who does have the answers for them, or someone who can help them, because we're all struggling with it. I would say someone who says that they've never had mental health issues is lying to you. We've all gone through it. We've all had down days. We've all had good days. And then we've all had the next day is terrible. And it really affects us, especially now more than ever with the added social isolation and things like that. It's getting stressful out there. We're all going through anxious periods. So just do what you need to do. And if the election and the upcoming results are causing you a lot of stress as well, try to separate yourself from it. Of course, go vote. Vote. Please go vote. And stay informed with what's happening. But try to just find the little moments in your life where you can just pause and, like I said, go bird watching. There's times in your life where it doesn't have to be about something bigger. It could just be about what's happening right now, like eating ice cream that you love. Like that first bite of mint chocolate chip ice cream is amazing. You want to savor that moment more than I'm eating mint chocolate chip ice cream, but I'm thinking about all these other things I have to get accomplished. Just take the little moments for life and take time to appreciate them. We're going to move right into some tech and science news. So in tech news, Samsung's chairman and former CEO Lee Kung-hee has actually passed away at the age of 78. He was the richest person in South Korea with a net worth of 9.3 billion US dollars. So it was translated there. And Samsung has stated that he passed away on Sunday with his family by his side, but they have not released what caused his death or had any other details of his death yet. It's a sad passing, but it was nice to hear that his family was right there by his side and he didn't pass away alone. Moving on, the European Space Agency, or ESA, have just successfully launched the first satellite with onboard AI named PhiSat-1. Now, this is actually interesting. I would think, I didn't know this. I thought there were already satellites in space with AI, but after reading the article more, it kind of made sense why there's not. There's a lot of complications with AI. If something goes wrong in space, it's a lot harder to fix than if something goes wrong with AI here on Earth. But it's a very relatively simple AI as well. It's the mission of the satellite is to monitor polar ice and soil moisture on Earth. So basically, it's just snapping pictures of polar ice and soil on Earth. And the AI responsibility is to auto-delete pictures of Earth that it deems are too cloudy. So if it takes a picture and 70% of the image is obscured by clouds, the AI makes a choice to delete that image. It was very interesting in the article. They were actually mentioning how that technology is pretty outdated. We all have that in our smartphones. And so they're pushing to get AI more and more in space. They think it could be very beneficial, but it's also, like I said, very scary because you can't fix AI when it's in space. But that's all the tech news we have for you today on Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. We'll be right back for you after this break with some entertainment news.
This is Miss Shala. You are locked in to IBNXradio.com. Don't even change it, because ain't nothing else on the internet anyway.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Jada.
It's your boy, Chris Tucker.
And it's your girl, Jaleesa.
Here to tell you about our brand new show,
Next Now.
And we'll be bringing you the afternoon tea,
letting you know what's happening around the way,
and giving you the latest hits.
So join us weekdays 12 to 2 p.m. on ATL's Next 100. Our community,
our station.
Next 100.
A lot of people say it don't matter, but think about
it. The 2020 election is approaching.
This is your country and your future, so vote.
Let your voice be heard.
My faith and confidence in the American future is undiminished.
What up? This your boy Trey Songz, encouraging you to vote. This is an important election, and I'm concerned about America.
ATL's Next 100.
Welcome back to Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. It's your boy Alex again, and we're going to get right into some entertainment news. So first off, Drake has announced his new album, Certified Lover Boy, which is set to drop in January. The teaser for it was actually pretty, fire, if I do say so myself. He dropped it on Saturday, which was also his 34th birthday. So, on his birthday, he's handing gifts to us. But the teaser featured a little boy staring up at the night sky, which then kind of animated into the cover of So Far Gone, his mixtape. And then we saw Drake with a little heart shaved into his head, which is pretty cool. He recreated a bunch of his famous album covers. So the cover to Take Care, Nothing Was the Same, and Dark Lane demo tapes followed that. So it was a neat little short trailer to get us hyped for the album, which I'm hyped for. Johnny over there said he's not as hype, but you know, we'll see how it goes. It should be a good one. Moving on, Felicity Huffman has just actually finished her full sentence for her role in the college admissions scandal that happened like last year. She spent 13 days at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California, and was also ordered by the judge to pay $30,000 in fines, and complete 250 hours of community service, and serve 1 year of supervised release. So while her time in the correctional institution is over, she is still having to dish out the money and the hours that the judge has ordered her to. After that, Oscar Isaac, best known for his roles in Ex Machina and the new Star Wars trilogy, is in negotiations to lead the upcoming Disney Plus series Moon Knight. Apparently, the fan cast favorite for the role was Oliver Jackson Cohen, but I have no idea who that is. So number one, I don't know who that is, and I actually haven't heard about the Moon Knight series on Disney Plus until Oscar Isaac's name was attached to it. And secondly, again, who is Oliver Jackson Cohen? Apparently, he was in The Invisible Man, which released earlier this year, but I didn't watch that. I don't know anyone who watched that. I don't know who these fans are voting for him. But if Oscar Isaac does get the role, I could tell you that I will actually watch the series on Disney Plus, because Oscar Isaac is a phenomenal actor. If you don't know him, I highly recommend Ex Machina, not only as a movie, but just to see his acting in preparation for Moon Knight. He's phenomenal, and you know, he's not too hard on the eyes either, so people say. Moving on, Kanye drops an Out of the Blue single, Nah Nah Nah, which basically talks about everything that has happened the past few months, like him running for president, his little breakdown that he had while he was giving a speech, all the complications with his families, things like that. The cover art is actually pretty fire. It's pretty simplistic, but cool nonetheless. Simple is usually a good thing. So check it out on Spotify and Apple Music. Tom Holland actually reports that Spider-Man 3 has now begun filming in Atlanta. If you don't know, Spider-Man 3 is also featuring Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, the past two Spider-Mans. So that's cool. I don't know if any of you are extras in the movie, but I'm sure some of my friends that I have in the theater industry are trying to do that. So, you know, this one's going to be a good one. Spider-Man 3 hopefully is better than the last Spider-Man 3 that everyone hated way too much. Because it's not that bad of a movie, but it is pretty bad. So hopefully they can redeem themselves with that one. Moving on, Kid Cudi actually announces Man on the Moon 3, and he released a teaser for it. So that's another big album that's coming out relatively soon. They haven't actually put a date on it yet, but he announced it, so it's probably sometime within the next year. But yeah, that's all the entertainment news I have for you. So we're going to move into some inspiring news stories of the day. So Good Samaritans actually rushed to save an elderly couple from a car submerged in water in Long Island. So Joseph, who is 78, and his wife Dolores, who is 76, were driving in their 2004 Mercury when they were struck by a 2016 Subaru, and it sent them careening into the canal. You could actually see the video online if you look up this incident. They just kind of crash over the fence that was there and just go right into the water. It kind of surprising. It looked like, you know, there was like that aluminum like safety thing to help you, like the little rail to help you from like going off cliffs and things and like into water. But it looked like it ended way too soon because their car just like it hit like this little chain link fence, but that's not going to stop a car. So they just like went right into the water, which was actually kind of scary to watch. And it started sinking like immediately. But the good news about it is that there were a bunch of people watching this incident happen. And so Suffolk County Police Officer Deborah Guerin, an off-duty officer from the same department, John Tighe, and 5 other Good Samaritans saw the accident and actually jumped right into the water to save the couple. So both Joseph and his wife Dolores were taken to the hospital along with the 2 Suffolk County officers and one of the Good Samaritans, as well as the driver of the 2016 Subaru that caused the accident. And they are all recovering. They were all treated for non-life-threatening injuries, and they were all, I mean, I'm assuming they're still in the hospital. Didn't say that any of them were released, but they all seem to be recovering from the injuries that they sustained. And it's always interesting to read about stories like these because, like, reading what goes through the people's minds when they're like, oh my gosh, I just saw this person careen into the canal, and the only thing I could think of was like, I have to go save that person. I have to go save their life. It's a blessing that they were all there to save these people, and it's just a great, inspiring story that I found. But that's all the news we have today for you on Next News on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. You're going to stay tuned for Drive Time after this. But yeah, they're going to have some more traffic and weather updates for you as well. But yeah, so going back to the entertainment news, actually, you know, I'm excited for Drake's new album. I know Johnny sitting right there isn't as excited as I am, but you know, it's his 6th studio album. He's from the 6, so he's got to pull out all the stops for this one. And also Certified Lover Boy. That's a cool title. The little heart shaved in his head was pretty cool too. Hopefully he lives up to the hype that this teaser hyped us up for. The teaser is actually really cool. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend you to go look at it on his. It's on his Instagram actually, so it's not hard to find. You just look up Drake and you'll see the teaser. And I actually haven't even watched the Kid Cudi teaser for Man on the Moon 3 either. So you know, I'm gonna check that out after the show. I urge you to as well. But like I said, that's all the news we have for you on Next News. That's on ATL's Next 100 and Next 105. Stay tuned for Drive Time.